True religion: how a human can draw near to God. Personal, spiritual religious experience is a powerful way to resolve most of a mortal's difficulties. It effectively sorts, evaluates, and resolves all human problems. Religion doesn't eliminate or erase life's challenges, but it softens their impact by placing them in the broader perspective of the whole. It casts new light on them and transcends their weight. True religion unifies the personality, enabling it to effectively meet all the demands placed on mortals. Religious faith, the positive guidance of the indwelling divine presence, flawlessly empowers the God-knowing person to bridge the gap between the intellectual logic that recognizes the universal first cause as it, and the soul's affirming conviction that this first cause is He, the Heavenly Father of Jesus' Gospel, the personal God of human salvation. There are only three elements in universal reality: fact, idea, and relationship. The religious consciousness identifies these realities as science, philosophy, and truth, or reason, wisdom, and faith, which translate to physical reality, intellectual reality, and spiritual reality. Progressively understanding these realities is equivalent to drawing closer to God. Finding God, realizing identity with reality, is the experience of self-wholeness. Experiencing total reality is the full awareness of God. The sum of human life is this: a person is educated by facts, ennobled by wisdom, and saved, justified, by religious faith. Physical certainty lies in the logic of science, moral certainty in the wisdom of philosophy, and spiritual certainty in the truth found only through genuine religious experience. The human mind can reach high levels of spiritual insight because it is not entirely material. There is a spirit core within the human mind, the adjuster of the divine presence. Three distinct proofs of this spirit's indwelling exist in the human mind. 1. Unconditional loving service. A purely animal mind may focus on group survival for self-preservation, but only a spirit-indwelt intellect is selflessly altruistic and unconditionally loving. 2. True insight and wisdom. Only a spirit-indwelt mind can grasp that the universe is friendly to the individual. 3. Spiritual evaluation of life. Only a spirit-indwelt person can realize the divine presence and seek a fuller experience of, and with, this foretaste of divinity. The human mind doesn't create real values. Human experience doesn't produce universal insight. Regarding insight, the recognition of moral values, and the discernment of spiritual meanings, all the human mind can do is discover, recognize, interpret, and choose. The moral values of the universe become intellectual possessions through the exercise of three fundamental judgments of the mortal mind. 1. Self-judgment, moral choice. 2. Social judgment, ethical choice. 3. God judgment, religious choice. Without a divine lover dwelling within, a person could not love selflessly and spiritually. Without an interpreter in their mind, they could not truly realize the unity of the universe. Without an evaluator within, they could not appraise moral values or discern spiritual meanings. This lover comes from the source of infinite love. This interpreter is part of the Heavenly Father. This evaluator is the child of the source of all absolute values of divine reality. Moral evaluation with a religious intent to gain spiritual insight brings an individual to good and evil, truth and error, material and spiritual, human and divine, time and eternity. Human survival largely depends on dedicating the human will to choosing values selected by this spirit value sorter, the indwelling interpreter and unifier. Personal religious experience unfolds in two phases: discovery in the human mind and revelation through the indwelling divine spirit. Through over-intellectualism or the unbelieving behavior of so-called religious people, a person, or even a generation, may choose to abandon efforts to discover the God within. They may fail to progress in, or attain, divine revelation. But such attitudes of spiritual stagnation cannot persist long due to the presence and influence of the indwelling thought adjusters. This profound experience of the reality of divine indwelling far surpasses the crude materialistic techniques of the physical sciences. You cannot put spiritual joy under a microscope, weigh love on a scale, measure moral values, or assess the quality of spiritual worship. The Hebrews had a religion of moral sublimity, the Greeks developed a religion of beauty, and Paul and his companions founded a religion of faith, hope, and charity. Jesus, however, revealed and exemplified a religion of security in the Heavenly Father's love, with joy and fulfillment from sharing that love through serving the brotherhood of humanity. Whenever a person makes a deliberate moral choice, he immediately experiences a new divine invasion in his soul. Moral choices make religion the driving force behind the inner response to external conditions. The glorious, transcendent experience of loving and being loved is not just a psychic illusion because it is so deeply personal. The only truly divine and objective reality connected to mortal beings, the thought adjuster, appears to function in human perception as an exclusively personal phenomenon. A person's contact with the highest objective reality, God, occurs only through the purely subjective experience of knowing Him, worshipping Him, and realizing sonship with Him. True religious worship is not a futile monologue of self-deception. Worship is personal communion with that which is truly divine, the very source of reality itself. Through worship, a person aspires to become better and, in doing so, ultimately attains the best. Idealizing and striving to serve truth, beauty, and goodness is not a substitute for genuine religious experience. Psychology and idealism are not equivalent to religious reality. The projections of the human intellect may create false gods, gods in humanity's image, but true God consciousness does not arise from such sources. God consciousness resides in the indwelling spirit. Many human religious systems stem from the formulations of the human mind, but God consciousness is not necessarily part of these materialized, dogmatic systems of religious bondage. God is not an invention of human idealism. He is the very source of all these superanimal insights and values. God is not a hypothesis crafted to unify human concepts of truth, beauty, and goodness, but He is the personality of love from whom all these universal manifestations flow. The truth, beauty, and goodness in humanity's world are unified through the growing godliness in the experience of mortals ascending toward paradise realities. The unity of truth, beauty, and goodness can only be realized in the spiritual experience of the God-knowing personality. Morality is the essential foundation for personal God consciousness, the personal realization of the adjuster's inner presence. But it is not the source of religious experience or the spiritual insight that flows from it. The moral nature is superanimal but subspiritual. Morality equates to recognizing duty, the awareness of right and wrong. The moral zone lies between the animal and human types of mind, just as Urantia functions between the material and spiritual realms. The evolutionary mind can discover laws, ethics, and morals, but it is the bestowed spirit, the indwelling adjuster, that reveals the lawgiver, the father source of all that is true, beautiful, and good. Such an enlightened person has a religion and is spiritually equipped to embark on the long, adventurous quest for God. Ethics is not necessarily spiritual. It can be entirely human, even though true religion elevates all moral values, making them more meaningful. Morality without religion cannot reveal ultimate goodness, nor can it ensure the survival of even its own moral values. Religion enhances, glorifies, and ensures the survival of all that ethics recognizes and approves. Religion transcends science, art, philosophy, ethics, and morals, but it is not separate from them. They are all inseparably intertwined in human experience. Religion is the supreme experience a mortal nature can attain. Finite language is far too limited to ever adequately describe true religious experience. Religious insight has the power to turn defeats into higher desires and new resolutions. Love is the highest motivation a person can employ in their ascent through the universe. But love stripped of truth, beauty, and goodness is merely sentiment, a philosophical distortion, a psychic illusion, a spiritual deception. Love must be continually redefined at successive levels of Urantia and spiritual progression. Art results from humanity's effort to escape the lack of beauty in its material environment. It is a gesture toward heaven. Science is humanity's attempt to solve the visible mysteries of the material universe. Philosophy is humanity's effort to unify human experience. Religion is humanity's supreme reach for final reality, the resolute determination to find God and be like Him. In the realm of religious experience, spiritual possibility is potential reality. The spiritual drive to progress is not a psychic illusion. Many of humanity's romantic fantasies about the universe may not be factual reality, but much, very much, of them is truth. Some people's lives are too great and noble to descend to the low level of mere success. Animals must adapt to their environment, but the religious person transcends their environment, escaping the limitations of the present material world. Through understanding divine love, which sparks in the human soul the desire to seek truth, beauty, and goodness, and upon finding them, they are glorified in their embrace. They are consumed by the longing to live them and do righteousness. Do not be discouraged. Spiritual evolution continues to progress, and the revelation of God to the world, in and through Jesus, will not fail. The great challenge for modern humanity is achieving better communication with the divine mentor dwelling in the human mind. The greatest adventure facing a person is the spiritually healthy effort to push beyond the boundaries of self-consciousness, through the twilight zone of the embryonic soul's awareness. In a sincere attempt to reach the borderland of spirit consciousness, to make contact with the divine presence. This experience constitutes God consciousness, powerfully affirming the prior truth of the religious experience of knowing God. Such spirit awareness is equivalent to realizing the fact of sonship with God. Developed God consciousness equates to cosmic citizenship at its highest levels, that of spiritual reality. The spirit content of a value is imperishable. All that is true, beautiful, and good in human experience cannot be lost. Even if a person chooses not to survive, the surviving adjuster preserves the realities born of love and nurtured in service. All these things return to and become part of the Heavenly Father. The Father is living love, and this life of the Father is in His sons. And the Spirit of the Father is in the sons of His sons, thus also in you, O mortal. When all is said and done, the Father idea remains the highest human conception of God.